What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for MLB Friday, May 14th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon.
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top DFS picks for today's MLB slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have a 13 game slate tonight, so let's take a look at the pitcher position. So my pitcher pick from last night, I tried to save some salary and it worked out. He did great. So I'm gonna go for it again here. I'm gonna try to save some salary because I love the high priced outfielders we have on this slate. So I want to save some salary for my batters. So I like Aaron Civale pitching against a low salary batting team, the Seattle Mariners. Aaron Civale is giving up a .777 OPS versus righties, and he's facing 6 righties here tonight. So he doesn't have great splits, but he's only $8,100 FanDuel salary, and he's $1,200 more on DraftKings. He's projected at 28.6 fantasy points here tonight. He has an ERA of 2.91, but I like this pick because his record is 5-0 on the season, pitching an average of 97 pitches per game, averaging 34 fantasy points per game. He scored 43, 14, and 29 fantasy points in the last 3 games. And I also like this pick because Vegas thinks this is going to be a low-scoring game. Only 7.5 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under, and it's a low-salary batting team, so not a lot of quality bats. So I think he can get it done and save some salary here. So I like Aaron Civale here versus the Seattle Mariners. Okay, let's take a look at the first base position. I like Matt Olson with a 35% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Matt Shoemaker. Matt Olson is batting 5% better versus righty pitchers. He's batting a .808 OPS versus righties. And Matt Shoemaker, he pitches his worst ball by far to lefty batters, 30% worse than his other pitches, giving up a 1.053 OPS versus lefties. Now, Matt Olson is 0 for 4 versus Shoemaker, but I think he's due for a hit. They're excellent splits, and Matt Olson is $3,200 FanDuel salary and $900 more on DraftKings. Projected at 10.9 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season, and he scored 7, 19, and 13 fantasy points in his last 3 games. So I like Matt Olson here versus Matt Shoemaker.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $100 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won, and then we'll send you $100 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Now guys, just as a quick note, we just released a free DFS contest on Draft Dashboard for MLB and NBA for DraftKings and FanDuel. There's over $500 available in the prize pool, and this is a totally free contest you can enter as a Draft Dashboard member. So make sure to click the link in the description of this video, give Draft Dashboard a try, and you can start playing in our free DFS contest and compete to win some money. Okay, let's take a look at the second base position. I like Marcus Semien batting against Vince Velasquez. Marcus Semien, he's batting a .731 OPS versus righties. And Vince Velasquez, he's giving up a .808 OPS versus righties. Now there's no at-bats versus Vasquez yet, and Marcus Semien is $3,200 FanDuel salary, and he's $2,200 more on DraftKings. So I love that FanDuel price. He's projected at 13.4 fantasy points here tonight. He's averaging 12 fantasy points per game on the season, and he scored 9, 10, and 12 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Marcus Semien on FanDuel here versus Vince Vasquez. Now on DraftKings, I'd probably go with Mike Moustakas with a 37% batting advantage versus German Marquez. Mike Moustakas, he's batting 34% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .857 OPS versus righties. And German Marquez is giving up a .732 OPS versus lefties. Moustakas is 2 for 8, batting a .250 batting average, and a .500 OPS versus Marquez. He's $4,000 FanDuel salary, but he's only $400 more on DraftKings. So I like that DraftKings price. He's projected at 10.3 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season, and he scored 3, 31, and 3 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Mike Moustakas here versus German Marquez. Okay, let's take a look at the third base position. I'm going to give you a value play here. I like Gio Urshela with a 37% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Dean Kramer. Gio Urshela, he's batting 29% better versus righty pitchers. He's batting .881 OPS versus righties. And Dean Kramer, he's giving up a .840 OPS versus righties. So he pitches his worst ball versus righty batters. And Gio Urshela is 2 for 4, batting .500 with a 1.850 OPS versus Kramer. One of those 2 hits is for a home run. And he's only $2,600 FanDuel salary. He is $2,100 more on DraftKings, so I love that FanDuel price. He's projected at 9.4 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 9 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 6, 9, and 3 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Gio Urshela here versus Dean Kramer. Okay, who do we have at the shortstop position? You guessed it. I like Xander Bogaerts, batting against a low salary pitcher, Griffin Canning. Now, Xander Bogaerts, he is facing a righty pitcher, and that's not his strong hand, but he's still batting a .890 OPS versus righties. And Griffin Canning, he pitches his worst ball versus righty batters, giving up a .846 OPS versus righties. So I like this pick because on FanDuel, Xander Bogaerts is only $3,300 FanDuel salary. Now he is $2,600 more on DraftKings, but I love that FanDuel price. He's projected at 11.1 fantasy points here tonight. He's been on fire this season. He's averaging 12 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 38, 3, and 3 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like Xander Bogaerts here versus Griffin Canning. Now, if you have a little extra salary to spend at the shortstop position and you're tired of me picking Xander Bogaerts, take a look at Trevor Story with an 87% batting advantage over Wade Miley. Trevor Story, he's batting 14% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .941 OPS versus lefties. And Wade Miley, he pitches his worst ball versus righty batters, giving up a .799 OPS versus righties. And Trevor Story is 2 for 7, batting a .286 batting average and a 1.089 OPS versus Miley. One of those 2 hits is for a home run. Now, he's $4,300 FanDuel salary and $1,700 more on DraftKings. He's projected at 12 fantasy points here tonight. He's averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season, and he scored 22 fantasy points in his last game. The reason I like this pick is because Vegas thinks there's going to be 10.5 runs scored in this game. That's the over-under, so a high-scoring game. So it makes sense to get a piece of this game. So I like Trevor Story here versus Wade Miley.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, moving on to the outfield position. There is a lot of studs in great spots here at the outfield position. I'm going to name the 3 that I like, actually 4 that I like, and then I'll give you the stats from my favorite one. So Mike Trout, Yordan Alvarez, JD Martinez, and Giancarlo Stanton are all in fantastic spots here tonight. And out of those 4, my favorite, I think, would be Giancarlo Stanton. He's got a 30% batting advantage over that low salary pitcher, Dean Kramer. Stanton is batting 22% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .936 OPS versus righties. And Kramer, he's giving up a .840 OPS versus righties. Stanton is 3 for 5, batting .600 with a 1.200 OPS versus Kramer. And Stanton is quite a bit lower salary than the other studs that I just named on FanDuel. He's only $3,600 FanDuel salary, and he's $2,200 more on DraftKings. So he's projected at 11.1 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 12 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 3, 0, and 9 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I think he's due for a big game here tonight. So I like Giancarlo Stanton here versus Dean Kramer. Now, the other stud that I like is JD Martinez with a 19% batting advantage over that low salary pitcher, Griffin Canning. JD Martinez is batting 13% better versus righty pitchers. He's batting a .894 OPS versus righties. And we know Griffin Canning throws his worst ball versus righty batters, giving up a .846 OPS versus righties. So there's no at-bats versus Canning yet, and JD Martinez is $4,100 FanDuel salary and $1,400 more on DraftKings. Projected at 10.2 fantasy points here tonight. He's averaging 15 fantasy points per game on the season, and he scored 16, 3, and 4 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So I like JD Martinez here versus Griffin Canning. So don't forget, I also like Yordan Alvarez, who has a 75% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Wes Benjamin. Yordan Alvarez, he bats 47% better versus lefty pitchers, giving up a 1.182 OPS versus lefties. And Wes Benjamin, he throws his worst ball versus lefty batters, 28% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .861 OPS versus lefties. He's $4,200 FanDuel salary and $800 more on DraftKings. Projected at 11 fantasy points here tonight, averaging 13 fantasy points per game on the season, and he scored 9, 25, and 6 fantasy points in the last 3 games. So looking at this a little bit deeper here, I think Yordan Alvarez he might be my favorite pick. He's right up there with Stanton. So I like Yordan Alvarez here versus Wes Benjamin.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.